Cortez Masto is recognized for 5 minutes from Nevada.
Chairman, thank you so much. Thank you to the panel members. I appreciate some of you have had the opportunity to talk with last couple of weeks. Thank you for taking the time. Let me start on an issue. I don't think it's been addressed yet, but foreclosure prevention. Let me ask you, there's about 2 million families who are at least 90 days delinquent on paying their mortgage. Millions of people's jobs disappeared overnight because of the pandemic, and that is more so in Nevada than anywhere in the country. At one point in time, we had the highest unemployment rate because of this pandemic. 4% of borrowers haven't been able to pay their mortgage. So for the bankers, what are you doing to work with them to keep them in their homes? Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to address and help them when they are bumping up against foreclosure? And I don't know who wants to start. Wells Fargo?
Sure, Senator. So first of all, for the loans that we own, we have extended our moratoriums for foreclosures and evictions until the end of the year. We've also come out and supported publicly the CFPB's proposal to extend those moratoriums to apply to the whole industry, which for us would impact the loans that we service. And we certainly encourage other agencies to align to those policies. For those that are exiting forbearance, I would say one of the most important thing is we have very aggressive outreach through all communication channels. We have many modification programs that are available for customers in need. And what we need to do is be in as close contact to them before they get there as we possibly can. So we're doing it ourselves, and we're working with outside groups as well. And certainly if customers can resume payments, that's terrific. But if they can't resume them, we have a significant number of modification options to work with them.
Thank you. Mr. Moynihan.
Similar themes to Mr. Sharp's comments in terms of we contacted borrowers before they reached and worked to modify them to add on to the back of the loans, and there's a suspension of all foreclosures obviously through the end of the quarter here, but we work with those clients. The good news is, quite frankly, is the number of people who are still in our company is down dramatically, like by 90%. So we're working with the remaining ones. Many have cured, many were current, even though they asked for deferrals. And so we'll continue to work with every one of the clients to, as Mr. Diamond said earlier, taking someone through the foreclosure process is not what we want to. It is what we want to avoid at all costs.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Diamond.
I would just repeat what they said. We work. First of all, it is down about 90%. And we have several modification programs, and anyone who's getting close to foreclosure, we work that where we own the loan. We don't necessarily control it. We don't own the loan. We work with them to try to find many programs to defer payments to help them through their tough time.
Well, I appreciate that. And really coming from Nevada, I was Attorney General at the time, working with many of you to address the foreclosure crisis we saw. We have opportunities and services in the state of Nevada that I hope you're also taking advantage of to help homeowners. But the good news, yes, they are down 90%, but there are still several homeowners in Nevada because of this pandemic that are still struggling and not back to work yet because of the nature of the hospitality and travel industry. So I'm hoping, please, that you are working with them and the various community organizations that are out there as well. Let me, I don't have much time, so let me jump to another issue that is important in my state. And I believe Senator Van Hollen talked a little bit about this, and I appreciate the investments your banks are making in minority depository institutions and community development financial institutions. However, I am aware that these entities exist unevenly across the nation. Nevada has no MDI headquartered in the state. There is only one certified CDFI in Nevada. In the past 30 years, we have only had 8 awards to a Nevada-based CDFI. We are the only state with a single-digit awards amount. And by contrast, 22 states with a smaller population than we have in Nevada have received many more CDFI awards. So my question to all of you is, how can you ensure and work to ensure that states and communities without a robust network of minority depository institutions and community development financial institutions benefit from the racial equity investments that we have made and that you have promised. And that's open to all of you. And I don't know if somebody wants to start. Ms. Frazier?
Yeah, I think one of the obvious areas that we've talked about is affordable housing, and the commitments in terms of closing the racial wealth gap. Housing is going to be a very important part of that. Seeing the PABS programs getting extended would make a big difference in making sure that that market and those programs can reach as many people as possible, and that would remove one of the constraints at the moment.
Anyone else?
I would comment, Senator, that I think your comments here that we need to work to strengthen this across the country are, is appropriate. They are uneven across the country. We continue to work to partner broadly with CDFIs and in our new initiative where we've committed $10 billion to close the racial wealth gap for Black women in this country. We're making investments, across the United States through all 50 states, but we'd be happy to work with you to find ways that we could have a larger benefit.
Thank you. I know my time is up. I will submit the rest of the questions for the record. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Senator Cortez Masto. Senator Hagerty.